You were born into a world already sold a story, a perfect narrative with heroes, villains, and an existential threat that makes you feel guilty just for breathing. Climate change. You were told it's your fault. Every plastic straw, every road trip, every burger. They drilled it into your conscience, made you scared to exist. But here's what they don't want you to know: this guilt is manufactured. This crisis is profitable, and you're being played. Decades ago, the climate narrative was hijacked by those who saw opportunity, not catastrophe. A chance to control industry, shape policy, and worst of all, reshape society's behavior. Think about it. Every crisis needs a solution, right? Now guess who sells the solutions? Carbon taxes, green energy subsidies, electric vehicles. Entire empires built on your fear. Climate change became a business, a religion. You don't question it because questioning makes you a heretic. You were conditioned from school onwards. Remember those melting glaciers in textbooks? Polar bears on shrinking icebergs? Doomsday clocks set to 2030. Where's the accountability for those expired prophecies? Every time the world doesn't end, they move the goalposts. Ice age in the 70s, warming in the 90s, and now it's just climate crisis. Conveniently vague and perpetually urgent. Meanwhile, the real polluters, megacorporations, governments with no regulations, and military complexes, get a free pass. You're taxed for a plastic bag while they dump billions of gallons of waste into oceans. You're shamed for flying to see your dying grandmother while elites jet between climate summits in private planes. If this were really about the planet, wouldn't they change first? But they won't. Because your compliance is more valuable than their sacrifice. You're easier to control when you feel guilty. When you think saving the world means consuming less, obeying more, and never questioning the experts. They don't want you to think. They want you to feel fear, shame, urgency. Those are their weapons, and you've been defenseless. Look at the industries that exploded under the climate banner. Carbon credits, a $1 trillion shell game where companies buy and sell pollution permissions like stock traders flipping junk bonds. Renewable energy firms with deep ties to politicians rake in subsidies while delivering half-baked tech that fails in real-world conditions. Solar panels that degrade in 10 years. Wind turbines requiring oil-based components and rare earth minerals mined by children in the Congo. All wrapped in a green bow. You think buying an electric car makes a difference? Those lithium batteries are environmental nightmares. Mining them poisons water tables, devastates ecosystems, and exploits impoverished labor. But hey, it saves gas, so it must be good, right? You drive a Tesla, they drive the narrative. It's not about clean energy, it's about power. Who has it, who gets to keep it, and who gets to pretend they're saving the world. Even NGOs got drunk on the climate Kool-Aid. Once noble organizations morphed into political arms for green oligarchs. They lobby governments, manipulate data, and pressure media to silence dissent. Ever wonder why no one with a platform dares to question the science? Because dissent is punished. Careers end. Grants vanish. You get labeled a denier, lumped in with flat earthers. It's not science anymore, it's dogma. And that dogma feeds control. Climate lockdowns, they're coming. Environmental emergencies will justify curfews, travel bans, and digital rationing. All in the name of the greater good. They say you must sacrifice for the planet. But the only thing really being sacrificed is your freedom. Control the energy, control the people. But here's the kicker. Even if you play along, even if everyone does their part, it won't matter. Because the math doesn't work. China, India, and developing nations are building coal plants at record speed. Emissions keep climbing. You think skipping meat once a week is going to offset that? They want you to believe your individual actions matter, when in truth, they're distractions. It's systemic and they're the system. So what happens when you peel back the narrative? You find a web of orchestrated agendas, not accidental confusion. Look at how the messaging changes first. It was global warming, then climate change. Now it's the climate crisis. Always shifting terms to keep you chasing the smoke while they hide the fire. If it's not warming, it's chaos. If it's not chaos, it's emergency. You never arrive at certainty because uncertainty is how they maintain control. And they target the youth first. Kids are easier to scare, quicker to obey. They give them greeter. A child prophet delivering climate sermons, hand-fed by billion-dollar think tanks and PR firms. Emotion over facts, shame over logic. Kids skip school to protest while the real decision-makers laugh behind closed doors, drinking bottled water flown in by jets. The media. Bought. Nearly every outlet parrots the same apocalyptic talking points, ignoring dissenting voices, banning alternative theories. When journalism becomes activism, you don't get the truth. You get a curated narrative designed to mobilize emotion. Fear porn masquerading as science. And what about the science? It's not unanimous, despite what they say. Models contradict each other. Predictions fail. Data gets adjusted to fit outcomes. The peer review system is a gatekeeper circle jerk. Scientists who dissent quietly admit the politics are thicker than the facts. But no one dares whisper it out loud. You're told the science is settled, but real science never is. Real science thrives on doubt, thrives on scrutiny. But this isn't science anymore. It's a doctrine. And you're not a participant in a global rescue mission. You're a pawn, trapped in a game designed to keep you obedient, compliant, and consuming the solutions they sell. Follow the money trail. Climate tech is the new gold rush. The World Economic Forum, mega investors like BlackRock, and multinational banks all salivate over climate infrastructure. ESG scores, just another leash. Want loans? Better tick the right green boxes. Want investments? You better swear allegiance to the climate gospel. It's not about saving the earth. It's about building a parallel economy where they pick winners and losers. Green doesn't mean sustainable. It means profitable. Your suffering is their ROI. Your compliance drives their valuation. If this was truly about healing the planet, we'd be innovating across borders, focusing on pollution, deforestation, water scarcity. But instead, we're funneling money into solar farms that fail during snowstorms, wind turbines that kill birds, and carbon offset scams that plant trees no one maintains. Meanwhile, the climate elite continue their luxury lives guilt-free. Davos summits held in snow-capped paradises catered by private chefs. Leaders making climate pledges while owning multiple mansions. But they tell you to downsize, to bike to work, to lower your thermostat. This isn't about equality. This is about hierarchy. They get to live as kings while you live with guilt. You can feel it, can't you? The inconsistency, the contradictions, the way the narrative changes depending on what keeps them in power. That's not science. That's manipulation. And when billions are at stake, manipulation becomes a strategy, not a side effect. They've weaponized your good intentions, twisted your hope into obedience. You want to help the earth, and they use that to make you surrender. Surrender your money, your choices, your skepticism. They've built an empire on guilt, and every time you obey out of fear, you help them tighten their grip. But what if you stopped? Not stopped caring, but stopped obeying blindly? What if you questioned every headline, challenged every narrative, and refused to play their rigged game? The moment you think for yourself, the illusion cracks. You'll see the patterns. The same recycled doomsday scripts repackaged every decade. The endless chain of last chances that somehow never expire. You'll see that nature is resilient, not fragile. That while yes, the climate changes, it always has. And adapting, not panicking, is what humanity has always done best. We don't need fear to innovate. We need freedom. We need open debate, decentralized solutions, and real transparency. Not billion-dollar shell games and guilt-ridden consumption. You can care for the earth and still call out the hypocrisy. You can fight pollution without swallowing the lie of global governance through environmental panic. The real revolution begins with clarity, with courage, with the refusal to be herded by fear. Because here's the ultimate truth: the lie of climate change isn't that the earth is warming. The lie is who they blame, how they profit, and what they want from you in return. They don't want solutions. They want obedience. They want a world where you work, consume, submit, and thank them for the privilege. But you don't have to play their game. You can wake up. You can look past the smoke and see the fire for what it really is. Not a crisis of climate, but a crisis of control. And the second you realize that, you reclaim your power.